Do you not like cut it to like trim it or maintain it at all?
I trim it, but only by an inch, so I mean...
Oh, yeah, I don't do it.
Welcome to the Nigerian Kitchen, the tiny Nigerian Kitchen. Unfortunately, Mr. Odonami isn't here today, so I will be taking over instead. Today, I'll be cooking a wonderful apple crumble recipe that I found in my travels on the internet. Alongside that, I will be teaching you the foundation of geometric sequences and series. Specifically, the general formula, the sum formula, and the sum to infinity formula. Before we start, let's take a step back and give you an example of a geometric sequence. Let's say we had a plate with 1 apple, a plate with 2 apples, and a plate with 4 apples in this order. As we can see, there's a pattern. As we go from one plate to the next, the number of apples on the plate is multiplied by 2. This is an example of a geometric series where the common ratio is 2 and the initial term is 1. Simple enough, right? But if we wanted to find the value of terms that are larger, like the 10th term or the 100th term, we would need a lot of apples, right? No, of course not. There's an easier way to do it. By applying the general term formula, we can easily calculate any term in the series. The formula goes, any nth term of a geometric sequence is simply the first term multiplied by the ratio n minus 1 times. To prove that it works, let's try it on the 4th term of the series. Since we know the 3rd term and the ratio, intuitively, the 4th term is the 3rd multiplied by the ratio. So 4 times 2 is 8. If we plug numbers into the formula, we also get 8. As you can see, this works for every other term in the series. Now let's say you want to find the sum of the first n terms in a series. To do that, we use this sum formula. To derive the formula, let's write out the first n terms in this form. Let's then multiply every term by r. If you take a good look, it's clear that this new series is in fact the original series, but the first term u is removed, and there is an additional ur to the power of n at the end. So this new term is the original sum minus u plus ur to the power of n. We can rearrange this like this to finally get the sum to infinity formula. Now let's apply this to our apples. As you can see, we have 7 apples here on the plates. If we apply the formula where the initial term is 1 and the common ratio is 2, then we would also end up with 7. Now let's shake things up a bit. What if there were an infinite number of plates? Let's try the formula. The sum to infinity when the ratio is 2 is infinity. Well, that's not very interesting. And what about this sequence? 1 apple, half an apple, a quarter apple, and so on. What is the sum to infinity here? Eventually, the apple slices will become so small that it will be basically 0. That means that there must be a finite value to the sum of all of these apple slices. Let's do the math to figure it out. If a number below 1 is raised to the infinitieth power, it becomes 0. So let's plug that into the sum formula. We end up getting this new, simpler formula. Let's try this formula out on this apple problem. As we can see, the sum to infinity of this particular sequence is a nice, concise 2 apples. That's all for this episode of the Nigerian Kitchen. Thank you for watching, and make sure to watch all of the other videos as well. Please, they're really cool. I put a lot of effort into them. Okay, thank you very much.
Favorite artist?
Told that you wanted that. But
Is it recording? Yes. Just all the. How does it work? Well, it's quite.
what happened?
110. There's a 130. Yeah. 112. 112.
It's 113.
Bro, how am I supposed to go?